Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Surrounded with Bourbon with me, Phil Crawford, aka Causeway Whiskey, and this is episode number 8. Today we are looking at Bulleit Bourbon Frontier Whiskey. So let's just get in with a little bit of history about Bulleit. So in whiskey terms of bourbon brands in America, I guess that this is a relative newcomer. I mean, it is over 30 years old now, I guess, so maybe not so much of a newcomer, but it was founded in 1987 by Tom Bulleit, who says that the whiskey is based on his great-great-grandfather Augustus Bulleit's bourbon recipe that was available from 1830 to 1860 when Augustus sadly passed away, and it's a very high rye bourbon. So the mash bill for this is 68% corn, it's 28% rye, and only 4% malted barley. So yeah, quite a high rye content, and I have read online in other places that because of that rye content, that in the olden days it actually maybe would have been considered actually just a rye whiskey. So I say that this apparently uses a historic mash bill because there is no historical evidence to back up Tom Bulleit's claim that this was how it was made back in 1830. What can be confirmed is that Mr. Bulleit did set up this brand to sell sourced bourbon to the Japanese market. And in fact, this didn't actually come to the US market until 1999, after Seagram's bought the brand in 1997. And then a year later, Diageo bought Seagram's. And at that point, they actually started a contract with Four Roses Distillery to provide the bourbon. That lasted until 2013. And then from 2013 until now, we haven't really known who the sourcing partner was. But to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Bulleit Bourbon in 2017, Diageo announced a new distillery, the Bulleit Distillery in Shelbyville, Kentucky. And the visitor center of that distillery opened in 2019. Interestingly, there is a 10-year-old version of Bulleit, so it doesn't take a genius if we do the math here to know that the 10-year-old would still be a sourced whiskey. This is a no age statement whiskey, so I don't know what age this is, but it is highly likely that it comes from the Bulleit distillery there in Kentucky now. One interesting thing on the back of the label, it says that it's bottled in Plainsville, Illinois. So I guess the distillery down there in Kentucky doesn't have a bottling plant. Anyway, I think I first came across Bulleit Bourbon in Ireland probably in the mid-2000s. And definitely presentation-wise, I think it stands out. It kind of has that old medicinal style bottle, the orange label, and so it was one that kind of drew my attention just from the looks alone. And it's a relatively affordable whiskey. It's still in the budget range. I picked this up for $23 in total wine. So why don't we get into some tasting notes and just see whether Tom Bulleit's great-great-grandfather's recipe is anything to write home about. So we'll just get stuck in the nose here. Yeah, so the nose is pretty nice. There's a bit of a honeyed note to it. Some baked apples going on, a bit of cinnamon. There's vanilla, some fresh peach in there as well. I don't know if you get these over here in the US, but back home we had like these cherry lips, cherry candies. They were kind of like a hard, chewy, sweet cherry flavour, obviously. Bit of licorice going on, and some oak. The rye is also it is prominent. There's definitely some fennel and pepper going on there as well. Sort of fennel going on to like anise is kind of quite pronounced. So yeah, I mean, nose-wise, it's pretty engaging. It's a nice combination of like fruit and spice, and it's not overly oaky, so it doesn't feel like aggressive. So yeah, it's pretty balanced nose. So let's dive in and see what flavors we can get. Decent enough mouthfeel. This is 45% ABV or 90 proof. Yeah, it's not a bad mouthfeel at all, actually. It kind of coats the palate quite nicely. The first thing I get here is like spiced honey. So it's honey mixed with clove, cinnamon, bit of anise going on. Think of like nearly like a hot toddy. There's a bit of orange citrus peel going on too. In the background you get some of the baked apples again, some vanilla cream on top of those, and then there's that rye spice. So again, that clove, pepper, but it's not like an overpowering spice. As I say, I mean, this is like a liquid hot toddy to me. It's like very inviting on the palate, I have to say. Tinned pineapple, and then now it's becoming a bit astringent, I have to say. There's a lot of woody spice there with those cloves and the oak, so it does kind of dry off at the back end. Finish wise, it's a kind of short to medium, again with the rye, the clove, honey, and a bit of oakiness. So as an overall experience, I'm going to have one more sip just to confirm my findings. But yeah, I mean, this is a solid whiskey. Pretty well balanced between the nose and the palate. Still not, I guess, the most complex of bourbons. But I think it stands out a little bit more, especially because of that high rye content from sort of other competitors, like the Four Roses or the Wild Turkey. So because of that rye content, it may seem a little more rough around the edges, I guess. But overall, it's still an easy sipping whiskey, but I think because of the rye content, that this is better served as like a cocktail base. I know personally, whenever I make old fashions, I actually like to use like an ounce of this and an ounce of the Bulleit rye. You may not even need to use the Bulleit rye just because of the high rye content in this. But overall, yeah, it's a pretty pleasant bourbon. I am going to score this a 5 out of 10, which means, you know, I would happily have this in my cabinet. I guess I kind of want to address the scoring thing again. You know, sometimes in the past, in my written reviews, people sometimes look at a 5 out of 10 as being a bad score. It's not. It means it's actually, on my scale anyway, it means that it's a good whiskey. I mean, it's average. I mean, it's not going to blow your mind, but you know, you're happy enough to have it. It's, you know, something that you're happy to give to people that maybe say they don't like whiskey, or you know, or something that you want to sip on whenever you don't want to break out like a really good bottle, or that you're happy to make cocktails with, or something like that. So please don't think that, you know, 5 is a bad whiskey. It is not. It's only whenever it goes below 5 that I start questioning whether you should actually add this to your cabinet. So yeah, this is up there with the Four Roses and the Wild Turkey, and yeah, solid whiskey, and I'll leave it at that before I ramble on. Please like, subscribe, make a comment to say whether you like Bulleit or not, and at some point we'll maybe get onto the 10-year-old, maybe the bottled and bond version as well. So thank you very much for watching again. I look forward to the next time. Hopefully you do too, and have a great day with whatever you're doing. Sláinte.